Where's number 473 at? Is that it? Nope. I've never had to make that noise before. Wonder what caused that. Oh, that was an odd one. Never had that happen before. Hello there to everyone that's just joining the live stream, getting the train set up. I'm going to do a quick little train running live stream. I plan to do one tomorrow, but I wanted to do one tonight as well, I guess, because I got nothing better to do. Hello, everyone that's joining. I think tonight we're going to be just running all the Durango and Silverton stuff, because I've been collecting quite a bit of it. Thought that'd be pretty fun. Oh, and hello, Oregonian. I'm doing well. I hope everyone watching the stream is doing well as well. Yeah, Joel, I haven't seen you in this stream in a while, or Red Oaks either. I hope you've been doing well. Hello there, Andy. Hope you're doing well today. Yeah, it's a shame when real life stuff gets in the way of model trains and stuff like that. I definitely understand. I'm about to go back to working full time for quite a while now, so I'm not going to have time to really live stream after this weekend. So today's and tomorrow's are probably going to be the last live streams I do for quite a while for the foreseeable future. It's interesting that YouTube is now recommending or giving notifications of my live streams now. That's pretty cool. That's cool, Chessie. Ooh, you're going to go to McLeod. Does the McLeod River Railroad still exist? Like, is that an actual short line still? So I know number 25 is up the Oregon coast thing, and I know number 19 is like in Indiana or Illinois now. But I don't know if the McLeod River Short Line Railroad still actually operates, because I know they were carrying lumber a while ago. I don't know if they still are, though. Yeah, I gotta go back to work full time. I gotta be able to afford all my bills in these trains, so unfortunately I gotta get back to work. But the nice thing about my job, though, is that I only have to work in the summer, really. summer, spring, and fall. So we get the winter off to play with trains. '86 Chevy. Ooh. Hosea Matthews is not a character on the table yet, but if I can find a figure that closely enough resembles him, I'd be more than happy to put him on the layout. Oh, this is a shame that they closed. I think that bridge is the bridge still up that they filmed Stand By Me on. Is that trestle still up, or did they tear it down? Because I know they ripped the tracks out of it, but I don't know if the structure of this trestle is still up or not. I used to have that same McLeod River Heisler that River Rossi made. I had, what did I have? It had lock sound in it. It was a nice engine, but it was really noisy. That engine ended up burning out its decoder, so I ended up just putting it away as a side project, and it'll probably never run again because I ended up tearing up that Heisler for parts for other engines. Didn't see much use on the layout anyway. Very slow engine. What 282 are you using for the Dollywood? I'm assuming an Usra one from probably Bachmann, I would assume. I think they still make those Usra 282 Mikados. I think they even have sound installed in them. Hello there, Trainsmania. That's cool. It'd be cool to visit that bridge where they filmed that movie. I've lost my wallet quite a few times myself. God, that would suck to lose $100. Yeah, the Heislers, I think those River Rossi Heislers are just noisy in general, because I've seen videos of them running, and they had quite a bit of noises coming from the motors on the other videos I saw of it running, too, so it's just a quirk, I think, that those models have, which is a shame. But usually the sound covers up the horrible motor grinding sounds. Joel, what are you mentioning about Sierra 3? Yeah, the train's always fun to drive in Red Dead. I'm planning to do a video on my model of that soon, but I just have to wait to get money to be able to send that out to have Red Oak work on it. He's going to be doing some really extensive work on that model. He's putting new wheels on it. He's going to put... I think he actually already has a frame for it that's ready to go, where he cut a new slot for the new axles in, so we could have the drive wheels closer together, like on the actual thing. Then he's also going to do the sound upgrades and everything too, so that'll be a really fun video to make once the engine's finished. And I believe we're going to be doing a collaboration on that video. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm pretty sure Red Oak and I will be doing a collaboration on the Red Dead Locomotive video once that model is finished. Where do I buy my figures from? Most of the figures are from an eBay seller. And he sells a bunch of metal 19th century figures. There's a few... I can't remember who makes them, but there's a few companies that do make 19th century plastic figures that are pre-painted, but they're rather expensive and rather limited stock whenever you do see them. So I ended up just getting all the individual figures. 3D printing is also a viable option if you have the ability to do so. A few of my figures that were needed, that were custom, were 3D printed by a company. What was it? Outland Models. they did a pretty good job, but they're based out of China, so there's like import fees and tariff fees on them now. So, if possible, I would recommend if you needed like 19th century figures, just to go on eBay and buy the ones. There's a ton of them on sale or for sale on eBay right now. And a lot of them look pretty close to the figures I needed anyway. So, luckily, I lucked out on that. Unfortunately, the blue and white Red Dead Locomotive is not running yet. That one needs a whole new decoder because the decoder that's currently in that thing is just totally shot at this point and like barely runs properly. That's going to need a new decoder put in it to run. But once that engine is sent over to Red Oak and put back into running operations, I will do a live stream running that train at some point. And I have a feeling that with work now, I'm probably only going to be able to do, I don't know, probably like maybe once a month I might be able to do live streams on probably Mondays, because that'll be my only day off in the summertime. So there's going to be a lot less live streams and videos once I get back to work. Yeah, money always is the wrench in all the plans for this hobby. The hobby is getting more expensive, which is a shame. I've been selling off a lot of my unneeded models, the models that aren't really of use anymore, and just kind of focusing on the ones that I heavily use. That's definitely saved me a lot of money, you know, not impulse buying models left and right anymore. But I'm hoping to keep my collection under 20 locomotives. I'm around 20 right now. I'm going to sell a couple more models, and then I'll probably be happy with that. I probably won't buy any other engines, except for I do have a pre-order on a 280 that Athern's coming out with soon in the Rio Grande livery. And I probably will fork over the big bucks for Bachmann's new Metal Gear equipped Shay locomotives that have sound on them too. I really want to get the Pickering one with the red livery. Those are really the only two engines I foresee myself getting. I don't even think I'm going to buy the N-Scale 460 because I sold off almost all my N-Scale stuff because I don't have room to run two layouts anymore. Which is a shame. Those N-Scale 460s are beautiful, but I can't run them. Oh, you have the DCC Ready Heisler, so that's definitely a lot noisier without sound then. Yep, money is what makes the world go around. You need lots of it to have a hobby like this. My favorite figure? Ooh, I have a lot of favorite figures. I think Arthur Morgan, this one right here, if I can get it in the camera view. Arthur Morgan's probably my favorite one on his horse here. Can't really see him. That's probably my favorite one. That one was 3D printed by Outland Models. And then my second favorite figure would probably be right here, Dutch Vanderland. I really like how this Dutch Vanderland figure came out as well. Can't really see him. That's Dutch. This one is 473 that I'm running right now, but I will run 482 in a bit. I just want to give this one a few more laps. Then I'll siding it and pick up this other set of cars I have over here for 482 to pull. And I'm also going to be pulling trains with Rio Grande Southern 20 later tonight as well. I don't really have any use for Thomas the Tank Engine on this layout. I did used to have the Sir Topham Hat HO scale figure that they released a while ago, but I ended up selling it along with all the Thomas stuff that I did own at one point, just because they weren't getting any use at all, and I was kind of buying them out of pure nostalgia and then not really running them, so there's really no future of that on this layout. Ooh, a Wild West theme park layout would be fun. That'd be really fun, actually. Kind of like what would they have? They had like old Tucson would be fun to model. They had the Reno stored there for a while before they ended up selling it. Thank God for restoration. Rapido or Broadway would probably. I think both would do a really good number 3. Broadway limited. My issues from Broadway stems entirely from their decoders and smoke units. Physically, they make very beautiful models. They make really good looking models, but they really need to just outsource their decoders at this point because the sounds in those Broadway engines to me are just subpar and substandard to what we have pretty much become accustomed to at this point with the likes of TCS Wow Sound and Tsunami soundtracks and stuff like that. Yeah, old models are fun to get and restore and get running. It's always really satisfying when you get an old crappy model and you're able to rework it and get it running again. It's always really satisfying. So Strasbourg, the reason why 473 here is a 280 is because they came from the Durango and Silverton train set that Bachmann sells, and they just used their generic 280 locomotive for that train set and just relettered it as 473. It's nowhere near even close to being accurate basis-wise for the prototype, but I still thought it was a neat little engine. I still wanted to have it running on the layout. So I had Red Oak redo the headlight and change a few details on it to try and make it look a bit closer to its prototype, which is what is it, a K28, I believe, is what 473 is. The Mikado 482 is made out of the other engine. I'll run that in a moment here. That one's made out of, that one was an IHC Astra Pacific, or Mikado. Sorry, not Pacific, Mikado. That was sold in the train sets that they sold at the train depot in Durango in like the 90s, I think. And again, Red Oak changed the headlight configurations and did some other customizing work on it to make it more look like the actual 482, which is a K36 class locomotive. And that one came out. I really like how the 482 one came out that he did. That one looks a lot like the actual 482, except, standard gauge instead of narrow. Tweetsy Railroad's a fun thing to model. Bachmann, I know, made a very similar thing to number 12. What was it? An ON30. They have the Baldwin 10-wheeler and ON30 that's really close. And I think G-Scale, they even painted a livery to look like the Tweetsy number 12 as well. No, I can't say I ever have seen the number 2102. I've never seen that locomotive that Pennsylvania owned. To be honest, I don't really know a lot of the locomotives. I only know like the super mainstream ones, like Sierra 3 or what else? Like the Jupiter, the 119, the K4 class, like super well-known engines. I know. I don't really know the obscure engines all too much, really. I think it's about time to put number 482 on. Oh, you're working on a 460. Ooh, a Mantua 460. Those Mantua 460s can make for really good kit bash projects. There's a lot of opportunities with those Mantua ones. That's the basis of the Red Dead 460. Alright, I'm going to hook up. Actually, I'm going to back up this. I'm going to back up 473 and get 482 to run next. Actually, I don't even need to throw that point there. Forgot to do the whistle signal. Oops. Oops. I don't have any sort of uncoupling thing, so I gotta lift the cars up. Alright, now we're gonna get 482 running here real quick. I need to change the camera a little bit. It doesn't want to seem to focus very well. There we go. Alright, let's check what the chat says. Yeah, it is a really nice whistle. 473 has a really nice whistle on it. I don't know if I might try to run a long passenger train, but I'm not sure. I have how many coaches? I have 12 coaches on the layout total right now, but I don't want to pull too many cars with these engines because I'm always afraid of burning motors out when I pull too many cars with one locomotive. These engines are not cheap. All right, I gotta do some switching here real quick. Actually, I might be able to move the camera over here and you can watch while I switch these engines out. Let me move my camera here real quick so you're not just staring at nothing. All right. This isn't the best camera view, but I think you should be able to see some switching action going on over here. All right, what was the other one? 482? Yeah, Red Oak will do a really good job if you send him that 460. He did a really good job with number 3, and he's going to be doing the other 460 for me soon. A Vanderbilt tender would be really cool to see behind one of those 460s if you modernize the entire engine. Does my railroad... I think my railroad does have a grade on it, but it's certainly unintentional for it to be there. Yeah, mine definitely isn't like a... Ooh, we almost dropped the camera. Stand by. Okay, here we go. If anybody recognizes the whistle, it's supposed to be Heiss's ACL 6 chime on it. That's what was on 482 when I saw it a couple of months ago. But anyway, I got off track. Where was I? Yeah, I don't have anything like a 6% grade on my layout. But there definitely is an unintended grade on a part of it because cars will roll down a part of the layout by itself without any intervention. So my layout isn't totally level, evidently. Now I have to move 473 onto that siding. Here we can look at I don't know, maybe we can get the camera look back at 473 real quick. We didn't have all these cars in the way right here. It would be just easier. There we go. Does Red Oak get paid to do the work? Yeah, because you have to get all the parts work. You have to get the parts for all the projects. And also there's labor fees because, I know I wouldn't want to do a bunch of work and not get paid for it. putting all my time and effort into it. So yeah, you can commission him, and he does work for really good. He does have a really good rate for working on projects for you. It also depends on the complexness of the project as well that he would charge you for doing work for it. So you basically you send him money for the parts and for labor and for shipping as well. Oh, Dutch Vanderland fell over and died. Oops. I need to glue this figure in place. He keeps tipping over. So for the whistle quills for the whistle, there's a specific button for the TCS decoders equipped locomotives to activate a grade crossing that has the whistle quill with it. Otherwise, it's just a basic long and short whistle. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's any other decoder that really quills the whistle. Maybe Locksound might. I don't think Tsunami does, but Tsunami does have other strengths to sound effects. Like they have, as far as I'm aware, they have better programming and they have better. They have like whistle reverbs. They can have echoes in the whistle. They also have wheel slip sounds, which is really cool on that engine, on those decoders for those engines. Oops, didn't mean to hit that button twice. All right, now we got 482 to go pick up some cars. Here's a whistle quill. Oops, we have a derailment here. Ah! Notice how I lifted the engine up. It's still running. It's got a keep alive capacitor in it too. This switch is troublesome. When I redo the tracks, I got to get rid of that switch. Oops. 1 second, please. Yeah, if you have the opportunity to get, if you're at the early stages of designing a layout, I would avoid against getting Bachmann because this switch here causes a lot of problems. And there's another switch on the other end that causes a lot of problems too with other engines. And whenever I do tear out this track, I am not using Bachmann ever again. There we go. That keep alive capacitor keeps these locomotives running for actually a pretty substantial amount of time. All right. Sorry, I haven't been keeping up with chat. We had a bit of a derailment issue. That's an interesting number for the locomotive. That's some interesting history. I would double head these engines, but I'm not sure if they're speed matched. I don't want the engines to play tug of war with each other. I'm not really sure how to set these engines to speed match them. There we go. All right. I'm going to read chat real quick because I'm missing a lot of stuff right now. I don't think the 473's whistle is actually off of 473. I think it's a Buffalo Creek and Golly whistle, but it is really, really close to what the 473 whistle sounds like, though. Hello there, Crazy Spud. Model trains vary in costs. Some are cheap, some are very not cheap. It really depends. The basic DC models you can get for fairly cheap. I've seen on eBay a lot of them go for even under $50. And if you get ones that are damaged and need work on them and you can get them working again, you can get them for really cheap if you have that skill set. But for locomotives that have DCC sound equipped and such, you can expect at least $200 at the very minimum now, especially for steam engines. A lot of steam engines go for over $300 now, which is kind of nuts, but you know, it is what it is. Pennsylvania Banshee would be an interesting sound for a 460. Oops, it was already set forward. Move the camera again. I like keeping the camera at the grade crossing. I don't know why. I think this is my favorite spot of the entire layout, is this crossing spot here. Yeah, I would estimate my layout. I've spent thousands of dollars on everything I own. It is a very expensive hobby. The further into the rabbit hole you go, the more expensive things you end up buying for your layout. Hello there, I'm Otto. Welcome to the channel. Turning a Pacific into a Hudson. That's interesting. Is there enough space beneath the firebox before the end of the train to fit a four-wheel trailing truck to turn that into a Hudson? Yeah, the BLI Shay is ridiculously expensive. It is nuts how much they are charging for that thing. Yeah, that's a good idea, Chessie, to put to make like designated areas for filming the trains. All right, here comes 482 again. I think I've caught up with chat. I have caught up with chat. Yep, there's John Marston. Canadian Overland trailing truck. Crazy Spud, could you specify what you mean by the Canadian Overland trailing truck? Is that a specific model they used to have? 3D printing is always a good idea too for custom parts that you need like that. I really wish I had a 3D printer, but then again, that would I don't even have a computer, so it would be useless to me anyway because I wouldn't be able to design or download files for any of the 3D printed components that I would need. take a shot every time 3D printing is mentioned on a Red Dead Railroad stream. Yeah, we mentioned that a lot. It's kind of funny because, like I said, I don't actually 3D print anything of my own because I literally can't because I don't have a printer or a computer to do that. So, Central Union train. I can show the Central Union train real quick. I can actually show both the Southern and Eastern and Central Union one. Let me just park this train so I don't have a catastrophic derailment while I'm not looking at it. Now I better move that car a little bit so I can not block the road. There we go. Yeah, there is a tender up there. It's an old tender drive Bachmann 440. Now I'll just this over here. You can look at. So here's the current progress of the Red Dead locomotive. Here's the 460. It's in pieces right now because I'm working on it still. Hopefully I will have it ready for shipping out to Red Oak like late next month. I can't really get a good lighting on it though. Come on, focus. There's the tender right there with actual coal in it. Then these wheels are getting replaced by Red Oak. This driver is getting moved forward up to here. Obviously, he'll light it, put all the sound and everything in there. I have to put a bunch of components back on this model, though. You can see it's missing its handrails. It's missing the entire front of the boiler right now. This boiler bracing's got to go back on. I'm pretty happy with how this engine is currently turned out at the moment. It's getting a little bit more work done on it. Then over here is the 440 that I'm working on. I'm trying to get the light over here so you can actually see it. You might be able to see it better now. But this is a 440. It's a Bachmann B&O. It still has this B&O lettering on it, actually. I have yet to get the decals to replace those. Tyco 460 domes that came off of this one. The stack is off of, I think, a Bachmann 440. The other 440, the Spectrum one, it was a spare that I had. The headlight came off of the 460 that I used for the Rio Grande Southern 20. I think that's really all the custom components on it. The whistle came off of another 440 too. It's like a 5-chime, 6-chime. But I'll re-letter the tender and the engine. This is pretty close to the Red Dead locomotive. And I actually have the coaches down here. These are the coaches that will get paired with that 440. I repainted the roofs because they were originally white. Now they're gray to be more like the ones in the video game. I have that over here too. So that's the current state of the Red Dead projects, both of them. Oh, and then this is the brass 280 that's got to get sent out to California soon to become Sierra number 28. Those are really the only projects left that I have. I have one viewer that is offering to sell me their brass 999, which would be a lot more accurate than this 440 to represent the Red Dead's 440. But I got to wait on that because, again, I'm dead broke. So once I do finally have the money, I will buy that. Oh, okay. That'd be a good use for an older Bachmann locomotive like that, just salvaging the parts off it. Those older Bachmann locomotives were notorious for their gears like cracking and the axles. I think the axles were split on those old ones. They had like plastic to separate the drivers on the older engines, and those would split too. Those old 80s Bachmann pieces or models are just pieces of crap. They've really improved over like the past 20 years on their models since the 1980s. It's just a shame that a lot of modelers don't really accept that Bachmann is changing. I see a lot of bad mouthing on people of Bachmann's products still, which doesn't even really make sense. Most of their models I've bought from them recently, I haven't had much issue with, outside of the two 440s that had gearing issues that I ended up fixing, which isn't really acceptable still. I had a rant about this on one video. where I spent like $300 each on those 440s with sound and everything in them, which is kind of overpaying, but whatever. It was from what hobby shop? It was from a hobby shop on eBay. Anyway, though the gearing was all messed up on both of them, and it's just kind of not acceptable when you spend $300 on a model. But they're running now, though, fine now, though. I broke them in, worked on them. I changed out some of their gearing components so they, with older models that I still had, to get them properly running again. But other than that, Bachmann hasn't really had too many issues with their latest releases, which is a good thing. So hopefully that trend continues. I don't have any British locomotives at the moment. I used to have a Hornby Terrier 060T, and I had a set of London Southwestern coaches to go with it. I have, however, since sold those because I didn't really run it, and it was taking up shelf space, and I just couldn't really justify keeping locomotives like that are just sitting and collecting dust. Nice engine though, just didn't have any use on my railway, which is set in the States in like 1899. Andy, are you what engine are you referencing? The class and the engine class that I was talking about. I don't have any 080s. I was looking at to buying an AHM one a long time ago. Never got around to buying it, and again, I probably wouldn't really be using it much anyway. So I'm actually listing. I just listed a Bachmann 060 with sound on it on my eBay. I'm getting rid of most of my engines that are like little switch engines that I don't use. The only engines I'm really going to keep are my Silverton engines, my Rio Grande engines, and my 440s. Oh, Sierra 3, my Sierra engines, and the VNT 280. Those are the only engines I have any intentions of keeping. The rest of them are going, so I just don't use them anymore. Which honestly, I'm kind of happy for because I was getting overwhelmed with the amount of engines that I had, and I just had like engines from all over the place. I had like Penske locos, I had Erie locos, and then like Santa Fe, and like all over. I didn't really have any one specific focus. I just had a bunch of random models, and now I've kind of focused on the Red Dead locomotives, 19th century steam with the Bachmann 440s, and then Rio Grande and Durango and Silverton. And those are kind of and Sierra Railway. Those are my main focuses now. So it's a lot nicer now having all the engines sorted out, so I don't have to have like a massive collection of random engines that I never use anymore, collecting dust. And I can put the money from selling those engines into upgrades of this layout and other engines that are relevant. Little Caesars? I haven't had Little Caesars in ages. I used to love their pizza there, but the last couple times that I got them, which was like a year or so ago, they were both the most greasy, nasty things on earth, which is sad. Because Little Caesars and Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut had amazing pizza back in the day too. I remember I don't know if they still have them, but I remember they had like those salad things, the salad bars that you could go to, which was always fun. I don't have any Penske locomotives right now. I used to have, what did I have? I had a Pennsylvania 060, which was just Bachmann. It wasn't like a specific prototype. I've ranted about this engine countless times. I'm not going to go into the rant again, but I had a BLI E6 442 Atlantic very briefly. I didn't even get to run that thing, so it was broken out of the box. And I almost bought a K4, and then I realized that there was not a chance that that thing was gonna make my curves on this layout because it could barely handle like the Rapido 460. So those were the only two I've ever owned that were Penske. 240 wasn't popular. I guess that does, I never really have seen any British 240s. It's interesting. It seems like they just kind of totally omitted that wheelbase. Let's see. I'm not sure how many times Dutch robbed the train in the game. 3 sounds about right, though, because they had the Cornwall one, the one like in the middle of the game that had like all the rich people on it. And then they had the army one. So yeah, 3, you're right. There was 3 robberies. Never had pizza from Pizza Inn. CSX. No, I don't have any modern locomotives. So I have no CSX, no Norfolk Southern, no BNSF, no modern UP. You know, those are what? Those are like the 4 class ones. We're about to have three class ones if they merge UP and Norfolk Southern. But no, I don't have any modern equipment at all. Like the most modern equipment I have are 2 box cars from the 70s for the Sierra Railroad. And that is it. The rest of my equipment's like 19th and early 20th century. How dare you badmouth Little Caesars Pizza? It used to be good. I loved Little Caesars a long time ago, but the last couple of times I had them, they weren't as good. Like they downgraded the ingredients, or the cooks didn't know what they were doing. Just sad. And I think they don't. I don't even know if they have the $5 pizzas anymore. They used to be like $5. They're probably like $10 now. Because where did I go? I went to Burger King last month, which is the first time I went out and got fast food in a very long time, mind you. And it was like, for 2 people, it was like $30, which is just outrageous. You could go into a sit-down restaurant and get like 2 proper burgers and then tip as well for the same price. Oh, hello there, Red Oak. And it's a certain possibility that I'll be running the stream till 8:30. I can't give 100% guarantee, but I'm sure probably will be because I'm having a lot of fun with this tonight. Yeah, it's not. So it's not listed as an ACL 6 chime. But it is. I'm pretty sure it is the reading. I think it's listed as a reading 6 chime or reading. Sorry, on the TCS Wow Sound decoder, but it sounds almost exactly like the Strasbourg 96 chime, and the Strasbourg 96 chime also sounds incredibly similar to Heiss's ACL 6 chime. So that's the whistle I put on 482 because he had them put that whistle on while he was in Durango with the Rio Grande Southern 20 thing that they were doing a couple months ago. Yeah, I haven't even had dinner yet myself, actually. Nope, I haven't had Godfather's Pizza either. I'm from Michigan. We don't have a lot of choices from where I'm at for pizza. Little Caesars 7. Well, at least it's not too bad. I was expecting their pizzas to be like $10 now. $7 isn't too bad, but I'm kind of sick of all these price increases on everything. It's going up, 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 up. Ooh, an oil tender would be nice. Rotary snowplow would be sweet to see in HO scale. Do they make any rotary plows in standard gauge for HO scale, or are those only like in narrow gauge? Because I know Cumbres and Toltec, I think, has a rotary plow there. I don't think Durango and Silverton has one, but I know Cumbres and Toltec does. That's obviously narrow gauge. It'd be cool if they had that in standard, though. Chessie, I think all you have to do is verify your account on YouTube, and then you can do live streams. Yeah, I thought it was the Reading 6 chime. It is very similar to the ACL one that he has. Like, almost exactly identical in some situations. I think I'm going to put 473 back on the consist, the other consist now. Give 42 a break. Come on, let's go a little bit further. Perfect. There we go. Michigan does have the all the stuff is downstate. I live in the northern half of the state, sadly. We have like nothing up here except for one inoperable Shay. But downstate, they have Huckleberry Railroad. They have 1225 with the Steam Railroading Institute. And the Huckleberry Railroad actually has a Rio Grande, what was it, K27. Durango and Silverton desperately want the Huckleberry to sell them that K27. I don't even know how a Rio Grande locomotive like that got to Michigan to begin with, but they run, I think it was like 460. No, it wasn't even 463. I don't remember the road number, but it was one of their K class locomotives that are down there, along with a U.S. Army 460 that was from like Alaska. So they have like two engines that aren't from Michigan running it down at the Huckleberry line, which is really cool. I want to visit that at some point. But there's Huckleberry, there's Steam Railroading, and the Henry Ford. They have those two 440s there. And I think they also have what was the other one? They have a Mason Bogie at the Henry Ford as well, the last Mason Bogie in existence, and one of only two Mason Machine Works locomotives left in existence as well, for that matter. I can't uncouple this car. It's being troublesome. There we go. I forgot that the 282 has that old janky, like half horn hook, half KD knuckle coupler thing on it still that I got to replace with a proper knuckle coupler, which makes uncoupling a bit unpleasant. I have to switch points over here. Maybe give you a bit of a push. There we go. Oh, yeah, that would make sense then, that what you couldn't get verified to do live streams then in that case. Should get a Rio Grande 440. No, I don't have a Rio Grande 440. I don't even think I've ever really seen a Rio Grande 440 prototype. I've certainly never seen a manufacturer make one. I mean, I could easily make one if I wanted to, but I'm not aware of there being any real Rio Grande 440 prototypes off of the top of my head. I'm sure they probably owned them. Actually, I know they probably, high likelihood they did own one, but I never really seen any, and I certainly don't know any off the top of my head. Maybe I'll look that up after the stream. Somebody had one on eBay, though. There's some feller that does a lot of kit bashing 440 projects on eBay, and I saw he did a Rio Grande 440 out of an old Riverossi. I'm going to be be honest, I was never a big fan of the elephant ears look on locomotives. I thought it was always really weird. I mean, I understand the practicality of putting them on there for smoke deflection, but I was never really a big fan of how they looked. But it'd be interesting to see it on your locomotive, though. Oh, Walther's made rotary plows in standard gauge. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. 464. Thank you. I almost said 463. Yes, I've been to Grand Rapids before. They have, I think they have a 284 on display. Oh no, it's Grand Haven that has that 284 on display there. Yeah, the Mason Bogey is sweet. What's it called? I think it's called Torch Lake. Is the name of that Mason Bogey? I saw a while ago somebody had found and donated. I don't know if it's still wearing it. Somebody found an actual Mason Machine Works machined whistle, and they actually were using that on it for a while. It's a shame that almost that entire catalog of locomotives has gone extinct. There's only 2 locomotives that manufacturer created that are still in the world, and that's the William Mason and the Torch Lake. And I'm sure there's countless other obscure 19th century manufacturers that totally lost their engines to history. Oh, I thought we had another derailment on our hands. Thankfully, we do not. All right, now we can get number 473 moving. Check on chats. Yeah, the Mason Bogey they revealed for Century of Steam looks really nice. Oh, that's fine. Red Oak. That coupler's it's not a big deal to replace it. I think it literally just I don't even know if it screws on. I think a lot of those old IHC and Concord models just had like a little cover that popped off that was friction fit to replace the coupler. It's definitely not a big deal. Yeah, those couplers are crap. They're a really like I see why at the time they did it because that was like in the 90s when they were kind of going from those old horn hooks to the new proper knuckle couplers. And I guess back then it would have been pretty nice to have a car that could or a coupler that could take both couplings and you could use them to like pull whatever cars you needed. But now that pretty much every manufacturer uses knuckle couplers, it's just kind of totally crap now. Yeah, by the Rio Grande Western time period, they wouldn't have had any 440s left at that point. My favorite wheel arrangement, probably the American or the 10-wheeler. I think I have like 7 440s or 8 440s now. And I have three 10-wheelers. Those are probably my 2 favorites. A tie. I can't really choose between the 440 and 460 because I like both of those wheel arrangements a great deal. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with liking the elephant ears look on the locomotive. It's just not my preference. I never liked it. I always thought they reminded me of like those German engines, and I always thought the German engines were very not pleasing to look at. I didn't like how they did the paint liveries on those things. They had all these weird like design choices. Actually, Heist did a video talking about the German steam engines and just the odd design and mechanical choices that these manufacturers over there did with their engines, just kind of baffling. Yeah, Torch Lake. I thought it was Torch Lake. 44094. I'll have to look into the Rio Grande 440s after the stream. And hello there, Josh. Well, I hope you feel better, Chessie. Yeah, it should be an easy swap. I have a bunch of KD number 5s laying around that I can put on that 282. My least favorite wheel arrangement? Oh, I don't know. I don't really specifically hate any like wheel arrangement. Probably the ones that don't work, like the four. What was there? It was like a weird Russian one. It was like a 414.0 or 414.4. It's like the world's longest wheelbase I've ever seen. It was some like Russian steam locomotive, and I don't know how that thing even worked if it did. Like I can't even imagine the radius curves that thing would need to run. Like even if like half of the wheels were like blind drivers, that just to me is like a really bad design idea. They should have made whatever that thing was into like an articulated instead of having one really long rigid wheelbase like that. Those Soviet engines were really weird. I didn't I didn't hear about 4014 almost hitting foamers. But I did see some guy almost got rammed into by a CSX freight train a couple days ago because he decided to use a crosswalk as the train was coming through, and he like fell over on his bicycle in the middle of the tracks, and the engine was like a split second away from hitting him and killing him if he didn't get up. And like I don't know what he was doing. He got up and he was like trying to fumble the bike off of the tracks. If that was me, well, for one, if it was me, I wouldn't have even tried to cross the tracks of the oncoming train. But even if I somehow magically found myself to be stupid enough to be in that situation, if I was on the tracks with my bicycle and the train was like seconds from hitting me, I would not bother trying to pull the bike off the tracks. I would just get off the tracks. He was like trying to fumble it off. Oh. There's a lot of people that like lack common sense, like knowledge around trains, and it's just shocking. I have around 20 steam locomotives, and hopefully that's really about it. I don't want any more at this point. I think 20 is a good number at this point. All right, it was nice seeing you, Red Oak. Hopefully the stream will be running when you get back. McHenry? I've heard of the McHenry ones. I just use Kitty because I've always used Katie. When did I get the Jupiter? The Jupiter that I have currently, I bought last year. But I think the Jupiter, the very first time I bought a Jupiter was like a tender drive version from like the 80s. And I bought that one like, wow, it would have been like 10 years ago now, actually, 10, 11 years ago. And I remember I have a story to that first Jupiter I bought. I almost got scammed buying that Jupiter because I was on Facebook and I bought the model. I would have been like, like 13 or 14. And Facebook Marketplace had a bunch of these train groups. And I saw somebody, I really wanted 440s for my layout at that point. I was just getting into the hobby, and I was super fascinated with the Jupiter and 119. And I saw this guy was selling the models for like $40 a piece. So I'm like, oh, that's a good deal. I'll buy them. And I ended up sending him it wasn't a check, it was a money order. I went to the post office and got like $100 money order. So it was like 40 and then like $20 for shipping. And I sent him the check, and I stayed in contact with him on Facebook. And then he mentioned that he got and cashed the money order, and then he blocked me immediately after he said he got the money order. And I was furious because that was $100 just gone. He stole it. And what ended up happening is somehow I found out he had an alternate account on Facebook. I don't know why he had an alternate account, but I ended up finding out about his alternate account through another Facebook member. And I ended up messaging it, and I told him, why did you block me after taking my money? I want my models. And then there was a bit of a back and forth thing, and it was really embarrassing because I was like 13 or 14 at the time. My mom ended up getting involved, and she finally like started like she ended up calling him because they ended up having a bit of a back and forth through the messages over this whole ordeal. She ended up like getting onto a phone call with him. She was just like screaming at him, rightfully so, because he essentially scammed me out of $100. And finally, she's like, "Okay, if you don't send the models that we sent $100 for, we're getting the police involved because it's literally fraud." And then like 3 days later, the models just magically arrived. Like, yeah. And then it turns out that guy, he ended up being on a TV show. He was on an episode of what was it called? The auction or the Pawn Stars. He was on the Pawn Stars, and he was like trying to swindle the guys to out of a bunch of money in that show to buy some train that he claimed was owned by Johnny Cash. I'm pretty sure that episode is on YouTube. So yeah, that guy tried scamming me out of $100 one time, and then he got banned from Facebook because a bunch of people reported him to the group admins, and he got banned because he scammed a bunch of people, and he was using his alt account to like scam people too. So that's an entire story. But anyway, I did end up getting that Jupiter. It actually ran pretty well. It was the old tender drive, the red ones they had from like the 80s. I had that for a long time. Then I ended up selling it when I briefly left the hobby. Then I rejoined the hobby. And then I bought the new DCC and Sound Jupiter. Average Soviet steam locomotive, 230. Yeah, pretty much. They had a ridiculous wheelbase. Oh, we're not even coupled to the cars. Ah! Okay, now we're coupled. This camera does not want to focus today. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I saw the school bus thing, I think, that almost got hit by the train. It's sad that people lack the common sense to just wait for the train to go through. He flipped the bird at the foamers. I gotta look that up now. I gotta look up the that video then on YouTube. Yeah, it'd be absolutely hilarious to see Ed flipping people off from the cab of the big boy locomotive. Oh, there we go. That switch almost caused a derailment again. Yeah, that guy almost did scam me out of the $100. He was very close. If my mom didn't end up getting involved in threatening the police, he would have scammed me out of $100. He absolutely would have. It's just horrible that people do stuff like that. Yeah, Pawn Stars was like on History Channel or something like that. It was a pretty big thing like 10, 15 years ago. I don't think they really do much with it anymore. Same with like Storage Wars. I remember Storage Wars was like on History Channel too, I think, where they would go through all the old storage units. And there was a lot of times they'd find model train collections in there that were really valuable. Yeah, you have to be careful of buying online. There's a lot of people that'll try and scam you. They think they can get away with it, which is sad, but that's unfortunately how the world is. There's always been scammers, and there probably never will not be scammers, which just sucks. This camera is not wanting to focus today. It's bugging me. It wants to focus on the foreground instead of the background. There we go. Yeah, buying in person is always good. But if you're going to buy an engine, I would definitely make sure to see if you can get the engine to be tested before you buy it if you buy in person. A lot of model train swap meet shows do seem to have a little testing area for you to test out the locomotives, though, from my experience. Yeah, and I would imagine it would be difficult getting US stock in the UK. It's pretty difficult getting UK stuff in the US as well. Fire the switchman for not coupling the cars. Yeah, he didn't do his job very well. The engine took off like Thomas did without his coaches that one time. It sucks. It's always awful when people get hit by trains like that. And it's not just bad. Obviously, it's horrible for the person that got hit. A lot of times they'll obviously die, but the ones that don't die are probably going to have like lifelong injuries or trauma from that happening. A lot of people don't really consider the effect of the railway engineers when they hit people, because a lot of these engineers and conductors that are in the cab and like they're like head on hit somebody and kill them, they will have trauma with them for the rest of their lives after seeing something as scarring as that. A lot of people don't really know that or acknowledge it. It's just sad. Yeah, it's a shame when you get scammed with model trains or with anything really. There's a lot of scammers out there. It's awful. They need to have more. They need to have more steeper like consequences for people that are doing that legally. They need to have more legal consequences for the people that scam like that. They obviously aren't doing enough because people are still doing it. And I'll have to look into the big boy incident that happened with those moron pedestrians or foamers. Does anybody want to see Rio Grande Southern 20 running in a moment here? Because I have that on the tracks too. Actually, you might be able to hear its whistle. Let me rotate over to it. That's the little 460. I put a new single chime on it. Sounds a bit closer to the actual number 20 now with that new single chime on it. Yeah, they have test tracks at a lot of those train shows just so people don't get scammed and they know what they're buying. Ooh, a lady got hit in the back of the head by a cylinder of a steam engine. Oh, that's gotta. Oh my god, that hurt so bad. I'm assuming she probably didn't live after that. Alright. Alright, we'll get number 20 out. We'll stop number 473 here. Yeah, I assume she died after that. Getting hit in the head by a steam engine cylinder when it's likely going at speed is like instant death, I would imagine. What was I doing? Rio Grande number 20. Okay. There'll be another moment here, but we got number 20 coming out of the engine house. Actually, I can probably move 473 ahead now. I saw one. Yeah, I think you're talking about 844. I remember when that lady was standing too close to the tracks when they were doing the 844 tour, and it like just knocked her across the, like knocked her like 20 feet backwards and killed her instantly. That was horrible. I think she was looking through the train, like looking at the train through her camera, and vastly underestimated the overhang a locomotive has in that scenario. How do you run trains backwards when other trains pull forward? Because I have DCC equipped on these locomotives, that allows you to run multiple trains at varying speeds in different directions, as opposed to direct current DC power trains. This also allows you to have functional sound that you can separately function on these engines as well. Oh, 20 got stuck on something. There we go. All right, there's number 20, but I just got to clear the tracks for 473 now. Be 1 second. We'll have number 20 running. So you need a DCC system. There's something up with 473's decoder right now. Oh, there we go. I think it just ran. I think it went over a dirty spotted track. It's making weird noises. All right, Andy. It was nice seeing you. I hope you have a good night. And I hope you have fun at that train show tomorrow, too. But anyway, with the DCC decoder thing, you need only one system to control all the trains. You may need like a booster pack to run more than like 3 at a time, for example. Like you can have multiples idling, but you can, I think for basic ones, you can only run like 3 at once at the same time concurrently. Each engine needs to have its own decoder installed to run on the DCC system. So one controller, but multiple decoders, one decoder for each locomotive. And that allows you to run multiple trains at once. Train shows are always fun to go to. They don't really have that many in Michigan, but it's fun when they do. They have one near me at least once every year that I go to, or try to, when I'm not, slammed with work. Ooh, am I going to be able to fit 473 without uncoupling it? I think we'll just barely be able to get 473 to sit on there without issue. No. No. I'll run 20 by and see how that ends up looking. Train shows. Can you do? Yes, we have number 20 right now, Christian. It's right there. I just need a clear space for it so it doesn't collide with 473 or 482. I'm not sure if they have any train shows in Canada. I'm from Michigan, so I don't really know what they do over there. I'm sure if you Google it, it'll pull up a bunch of different shows that are upcoming. You know, depending on whatever province you are in. You know, I can't remember even all the provinces. The only one I can think of at the top of my head is Manitoba. But you know, whatever province you're in, just Google that, and it'll tell you what all the train shows are in the area. I think it's time to change the camera view. We've been in the same spot all day. And there's just enough clearance with 473 to leave it there. Okay, good. How about we put the camera over here? This is always a fun spot, right on the siding here. Yeah, the whistle isn't an exact match to the locomotive, but they don't have the exact whistle available, so I just put that on because it was the closest. There is I think it was a Norfolk and Western single chime that sounded pretty close, but I didn't really like the way that one sounded. They actually have a Rio Grande Southern like 3 chime, and number 20 has worn a 3 chime, I think it is. Don't quote me on it, but I know it has worn a Rio Grande Southern whistle before, but I put the single chime on it because that's what they currently have on the engine is a single chime. I think this is a Southern single chime. What locomotive is that you have sound on? Yeah, that's what a lot of the single chimes sound like, or those are like Norfolk and Western hooters. They just don't have that like one really weird. Some of those like hooters have like a weird like I don't even know how to describe it, like a high pitched like squeak almost to them that most single chimes don't have. That makes them distinct from the others. I'm going to run number 20 a bit faster. I never really highball this engine. That's interesting. What locomotive type is that? CN Rail 2179. Is that a diesel or steam locomotive? Oh, it's a diesel. Old time engines are typically actually 30 miles per hour is about right for the old time locomotives. They didn't really ever go much faster than 30, maybe 40, 45 tops. I think Sierra Railway 3, which is an 1891 built 10 wheeler, she has like a max speed, like absolute ideal conditions, max speed of like 50, 55. So most of these smaller engines that are about the size of CR3 probably won't ever go at most more than 50. And that's like ideal conditions, straight level track, light. Like the engine probably wouldn't even be pulling any cars at that point. Probably just like running light with just its tender. Engines I don't think really went much over 50 until like the turn of the century, until like 1910s, 20s, when the United States Railroad Administration took over and streamlined designs of all the, they like streamlined and standardized all the designs, which was, the railroads appreciated that because then they could they didn't have all these different manufacturers now making different engines that need different components. They're all standardized designs at that point that would allow for the locomotives to all get replacement parts fairly easily. Much more easier so than back when you had every manufacturer doing whatever they wanted with their own designs. Yeah, some of the passenger trains, as you can see right over there, you can see there's those are called open air excursion cars, and those are just so tourists. Those are modern day cars, and those are just so tourists can get better visibility of the scenery around them when they're riding the train. Durango and Silverton has those cars. Cumbres and Toltec has those cars. Cass Scenic has cars like that. I think Roaring Camp has cars like that. They're pretty standard on newer tourist trains, just so people can get better views of the scenery going by. Though I think the main drawback of riding in an open air car, though, is if you're behind like a coal burner or wood burner, then you're probably gonna get cinders all over you and like singe your clothes or like burn your face through the cinders. That seems to be a common thing. This is HO scale. This is HO scale, or HO gauge. It's the same thing, standard gauge. These engines are based on narrow gauge locomotives that I'm running today, but they are actually running on standard gauge track because I just don't have the space or the money to really get into HO and 3 narrow gauge. Yeah, East Broad Top's got them too. Yeah, a lot of railroads use the open air ones just so people can see out the train car better on their ride. Oh, I didn't know Amtrak was 50 this year. Oh, it was last year. I knew it was somewhere in the 70s is when Amtrak was formed because of the. I think it was because of the horrific fallout of Penn Central is why Amtrak came about. The fallout of Penn Central was like the worst bankruptcy in the United States that I'm aware of. It was so bad that the government had to get involved to salvage the absolute carnage that Penn Central was. I would double head 473 and 20, but the issue is I do not know how to speed match the two engines. I mentioned earlier, I don't know who brought it up, but I would have to speed match the locomotive so they're not playing tug of war with each other. And if you do that and if you run them together without speed matching, you're liable of having one of the motors burn out in the engines because it's like straining to run while being either held back or pushed forward by another engine. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed it's easy to do that on like Tsunami soundtracks decoders, especially if the engines are the same model. But I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do that on TCS Wow Sound. And that's what I'm running these locomotives all have on them today, or TCS Wow Sound. New York Central. So New York Central merged with the Pennsylvania Railroad because both of them had significantly declining revenue because of air traffic and roadways being built in like the 50s. And so the companies, I think it was like the 60s or so, decided that they were like these were two big rivals too. These are like the biggest rivals that the United States had of railroads because the Pennsylvania and New York Central were massive at their heights and they hated each other. They hated each other. But around the time of the 60s, both of them had really badly declining revenue. And they decided the best way for those two companies to survive would be to merge and consolidate all their trackage and locomotives and businesses and whatnot. And what ended up happening is the merger didn't help any. It actually made it worse. And the railroads ended up going into complete bankruptcy, and the U.S. government had to seize the railroads because the fallout of it was so bad. Amtrak was formed out of it because there was like no railroads that were freight haulers wanted to pull passengers because passengers do not pull in enough sustainable revenue to keep operating them, which is why Amtrak, I believe to this day, still runs in the negatives. I don't think Amtrak makes any profit at all, except for maybe on the Northeast Corridor, but I know the long distance ones like the California Zephyr and the Southwest Chief, pretty sure those both run negative profits. But yeah, Penn Central is a massive failure, and that's what happened to New York Central. Completely failed when the entire Penn Central failed with it because it merged with Pennsylvania. That was really bad, and that merger just like destroyed all the short like branches that that network had. A lot of tracks were ripped up. The tracks in my town were ripped up after that entire thing crashed because the railroads were not sustainable, and they ended up replacing the railroad traffic with trucks and semis. So really bad, really bad. New Haven was in that merger too. Yeah, I didn't even know that New Haven was involved in that. I thought it was just Pennsylvania and New York Central. Either way, that was a really bad thing that happened. I don't have the first model train that I own anymore. The first one I owned was like a Bachmann EMD FT. It was from like their Santa Fe Flyer from like 20 some years ago that my grandpa gave me. That engine is long gone. And then when I first got into the hobby, after that, it was like a Bachmann USRA 060 from the Chattanooga set. That's also history as well because I sold it. Then I re-entered the hobby a second time because I like took a break from it. And then around COVID, I got back into trains again. And the first one, do I still have it? Actually, I'll show you the oldest one that I have. The oldest one that I have is this Union Pacific 119. Now, this Union Pacific 119, I can't really show it here, but it's an old-time 440. I really can't show it. You can't see, but you probably know what it is. That 119 is actually new, but it's the same old one. And what I mean by that is the old one just wore out on me, and I ended up buying a new 119. And I used parts from the old original one that I bought like 6 or 7 years ago to use on the new one, because the new one had gearing issues, so I just ripped the old chassis out and swapped out the old chassis onto the new one. So a part of the old one is incorporated into the new engine. But the Red Dead 460 was the second one that I bought. It was a Tyco 460. And I never did any kit bashing with that or anything until recently, where it got turned into the Red Dead one. I bought that 460 like 3 or 4 years ago. And then the third oldest is a Bachmann 260, and then all the other engines are pretty modern. They're all like new engines. I don't have any of the engines that I had like 10 years ago, 20 years ago anymore. I have a New Haven lantern too, or is it New Haven? I'm pretty sure I have a New Haven lantern too outside. We have it outside on the porch. That's pretty cool that you have one too. No, I haven't ever heard the story of the Midnight Express. Yeah, I have all my engines are steam locomotives except for one 44-tonner diesel. They're all steam engines, and almost all of them are like pre-1900, and then there's a few that are like from the 1920s, and then I don't have any steam engine beyond like 1925, 1926. I didn't realize I had been running number 20 for that long. Give her a quick little break. See if I can turn the camera a bit to see it a bit better. There you go. I'm really happy with how this project turned out. That started as a Bachmann Southern 460. I ripped all the wall shirts valve gearing off, bought a new bell, cut the old bell off and put the new one in there. That's a new whistle. That's a new stack cap or spark arrestor. New headlight bracket, and new pilot. And a whole new tender too. And a new cab. There's a lot of new components on that model. Oh, was mine Rock Island? I don't remember which one mine was. I had to go outside and look at it because it has like the name like stamped onto it. I couldn't remember which one it is. Maybe I'll post that on my channel. But it's a pretty cool little lantern though. Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific. I gotta get my watch out. I don't know what time it is. I can't pull up the time on my phone, which I'm recording off of. Oh, this watch is an hour behind. I never changed it for the time. Thank you. Yeah, I was looking at my pocket watch, and I was like, why does it say it's only 6 o'clock still? And I forgot to set it ahead for the time change. It's an hour behind. I have to fix that. Yeah, Rock Island was a pretty big one. It was a pretty big railroad. What was your most recent comment? Oh yes, I mostly have steam engines. Most of my I have like all but one or steam of my collection are steam locomotives. I'm not a big diesel fan at all. I forgot which sound function was the ash pan. Is it 19 or 17? Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the sound effect playing right now for cleaning out the engine's ash pan. I highly doubt they would have cleaned it on the main line like that because it would probably light the ties on fire. But oh no, which one are you referencing? I don't see another one. I think you might have to re-comment that because I didn't see the other one. Maybe the stream lagged out for a second and it didn't post. I've had that happen before. You'll have to retype that comment. All right, I think it's time to get 20 rolling again. I'm sure Heiss had a real blast when he was running number 20 up on the Durango and Silverton. Finally having an opportunity to be able to actually get the number 20 up to highballing speed instead of just going on that little loop in the museum over and over again. Looks like he had some real speed on that engine too on some of those stretches on the videos that were uploaded of the Rio Grande Southern 20 charter that they were running. Yeah, they did a really good job of preserving all the narrow gauge stuff on the Rio Grande. I can't even think of really any narrow gauge operations besides the East Broad Top and on the eastern side or in the Midwest. Midwest Central has that little 260 and some like European tank engines. In I think that's like in Illinois or Iowa. I think Iowa. And yeah, East Broad Top and that is the only narrow gauge I can think of off the top of my head. And then Midwest Central. East Broad Top. I was just mentioning how I don't think there's really much narrow gauge stuff on the eastern U.S. as compared to the West Coast. West Coast has a lot of narrow gauge equipment out there, especially in running condition. East Broad Top and Midwest Central are like the only eastern narrow gauge lines that I'm aware of. Though, if anybody knows of any more, though, I'd definitely be interested in hearing about any other narrow gauge operations that are on the eastern side of the U.S. think it's about time we park number 20 and put number 482 hasn't ran for a minute. Let's run 482. Maryland Central. Never heard of that one. I've heard of the Maryland or Western Maryland. They have that 280 and they have like I think an articulated. They had like a Western Maryland what was it 734 was the 280 they got there. And then they got like an articulated. I can't remember the name of. How do I want to do this? Oh, I know how I'll do this. I'll get the engine move forward, and then I'll get 482 on. Yeah, Bachmann sells a lot of Santa Fe and BNSF because those are very well-known road names. So they can get away with selling a lot of that road names like that. Oh, I remember what I was doing. I just forgot for a second how I was doing these switch moves because I need to get number 20 off of the main line and number 482 onto the main line. And I have to pre-plan a lot of my switching moves on this layout because there's not much space to put everything. Yeah, I've seen Walthers have sold a lot of CSX stuff. Bachmann has a good selection of Norfolk Southern too. They have a lot of new modern Amtrak stuff. I think they recently released a new ALC 42, which is those new those are the new Amtrak diesels that they use on their trains. That might be, if I bought any modern locomotives, the ALC 42 might be the one that I would buy because they have one of those trains running the Pierre Marquette passenger train from Grand Rapids to Chicago that I've ridden before. I buy all my trains, mostly, I don't know, half of them I bought from eBay and half of them I bought from trainworld.com. And trainworld.com can have some pretty good sales on there. I wonder why they're doing that. I wonder if it's because they're running out of power or what. There we go. I don't know if anyone hears, but sometimes these engines, and it's not just these Silverton ones, but all of my engines have TCS wow sound will sometimes glitch out a bit. I think that's because they lose power for a second or something. It's very odd when they do that, though. All right. I just got to throw some points and get 482 connected to the consist. Oh, the Flying Grand. The Flying Grand is a pretty nice. I always like that logo that the Rio Grande had. But this is a Durango and Silverton engine. This is how it typically looks. So I won't be changing its appearance. You know, here's a thing for chat while I'm switching all the cars and engines around. Put into the chat what your favorite locomotive or your favorite wheelbase is. Pull all the way. Oh, and my live stream cut off? Did the live stream cut off? Anyone in chat? Oops. Yeah, I do a little bit of this. Oh, cars don't want a couple. My favorite locomotive, Sierra Railway 3, and it's not even close. Oh, it didn't cut out. Okay, because for some reason my my phone or something glitched out, and I thought the stream ended or crashed or something. All right. I got a back number 20 onto this siding now. I'm going to back 20's cars onto this. Now put number 20 back into the engine shed. Where's number 20? I went right past it. There it is. I'm not a big fan of big switching layouts, but it is fun to do a little bit of light switching every once in a while, just so you don't have to do the you don't have to deal with the kind of boringness and repetitiveness that just running in a circle can do. That's why I like having a few of these sidings on here that I can use to switch cars around on. Welcome back, Jesse. All right, I gotta lift this one's tender up a bit because can't uncouple it the other way. Is that on the rails? I gotta really get something to use for uncoupling cars with. I see people use like what are they called, like kebab skewers. I can't really see if it's all on the track, so I'm going to use the live stream camera to see if number 20's tenders are all the way on the track. I don't think that one wheel is. All right, it is now. Pencil? Actually, I have a pencil around here. Oh, you know what might work is I have a little screwdriver, like a micro jeweler's screwdriver that might work. We'll try that out the next time I need to uncouple some cars. There we go. I figured out why the trains are having those sound issues, because the track's been getting dirty on this one patch of rails. I gotta clean that up after the stream. All right, now we can run 482. Can't really see anything anymore with these cars blocking the view over here, so we're gonna have to move this camera. Let's try a view from over here. We're never over here. There's number 20 parked over there. Ooh, I don't think there's enough room here to see anything. We might have to try this. There we go. No, that's not going to work either. How about here? No. It's kind of hard finding another place to put the camera to watch the trains. This seems like a good enough spot for a bit. Favorite color locomotive. My favorite color locomotives. I really like Pacific Jupiter looks with that like crimson and that dark blue. I believe the Schenectady Locomotive Works painted most of their locomotives red and blue like that because I think some of the people that were part of the company of the Schenectady Locomotive Works of New York were either from Caledonia or something like that, or they were very fond of the Caledonian Railway, and they used red and blue on their engines. So Schenectady followed suit, and they used red and blue. And the Jupiter livery is probably my favorite livery of all the engines that I own. So probably like red and blue. Yes, I still have that yellow 280. It's called the Bumblebee paint scheme that the Rio Grande used. That engine, I haven't ran it in a bit of a while, but I do run it at least every once in a while. Yes, I have heard of the Ringling Brothers Circus train. That was pretty cool that they have those running. They have a lot of models of that in HO scale, G scale. Pretty much every scale has their own circus train. Just about every manufacturer. That would be cool if I had a GoPro for putting a camera on the flat car, but my phone would tip over a flat car immediately if I tried to use that. So I have to have like stationary positions for the camera to watch the trains go by. Because if I try putting it on a flat car, it would like flip over and cause a massive accident immediately. Oops, that's the wrong whistle. What engine am I looking at? 482? I think we're all coupled, so I think we can get going with 482 here. It doesn't want to focus on the trains tonight. I don't know why it's doing that. This is a really bad night for keeping the camera focused. Actually, I think I have a better spot than this one. Let me move it. I always like this shot right here. Alright, here comes the engine again. The Bumblebee locomotive? Yeah, I can get the Bumblebee locomotive out. What decoder? This is all the engines running so far tonight have had TCS wow sound. However, if I put the Bumblebee locomotive on here shortly, then that'll be Tsunami Economy. Where's the other engine? The loudest locomotive. I try to keep all of my engines' volumes relatively low. I don't like loud engines, for one, because some of the really loud engines I've owned before have given me headaches from running them. And two, I primarily run trains at night more often than not, and so I don't want to be really loud with the trains. The one that I currently have the loudest volume on is probably... Actually, no, I don't think any of them are loud anymore. I turned all their volumes down really, like a quarter of what they usually are, just so they aren't noisy. I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, the other engine. By seeing the new N-Scale SD70 ACU. No, I don't really, like I said earlier in the stream, I'm not a really big steam fan, or diesel fan, sorry. So I'm gonna be honest, I don't even really know most of the diesel engines, like what they even are. Like somebody showed me a picture of some random Union Pacific diesel, I would have no clue what it is. But if they showed me like a random steam locomotive, then I could probably just by looking at it immediately tell specifications of the locomotive and whatnot. I really don't know much about my brain just broke midway. I don't really know much about diesel locomotives. Except for like really early ones like the GE 44 tonners. That's like the only diesel locomotive I have even any knowledge on at all. And even that is really limited. I still can't believe how much of a difference of having red oak change the headlight configuration on that locomotive really made to how that engine ultimately looks. It looks so much more like 482 after him doing that. Cardinal River Models Nickel Plate Berkshire. I didn't even know that. I've never heard of that company, actually. I'd have to look at the model and to really have any opinion on it. I think who's currently making those Bachmann makes the 284. I think MTH used to make Berkshires in HO scale. I'm not sure if they do anymore. I know they used to. I'm not sure Broadway Limited has done Berkshires before, but they're not like the nickel plate rotor pure Marquette ones. Those were like Boston and Maine ones. They had the weird like thing over the front of the smoke box. Excuse me. Can't think of anyone else who made it in HO scale. Let's change the camera a bit. There, now we can see number 20 sitting back there. If I can get you to sit right. There we go. Biggest steam locomotive I've seen in person. I saw a CB&Q, a Burlington route. It was was like a 484. Was it 484? It was a 464 or 484, and it was in there's one Amtrak train I was on stopped in. It wasn't Princeton. Somewhere in Illinois. It wasn't Princeton though. It was like the station after Princeton. They have this like giant CB&Q. It was either a Hudson or a Northern that they own. I know the town's name, but it's just blanking on me right now. But it was a huge locomotive. It like dwarfed the Amtrak train that we were on. That was the largest locomotive I've seen. Those what was it? Those K36s are a lot bigger than you think they would be. Those Rio Grande K36 class Mikados are pretty big. I wasn't expecting those engines to be as big as they were until I got up like right next to one in Durango. Oh, that's cool. A laser scan. That's going to be a really accurate model then. A new company. Yeah, that makes sense of why I haven't heard of them yet. I only really know the old suppliers. Yes, my train has a bell sound. You can't really hear it. I probably should turn the volume of the bell at least up. Here's the bell. It's really quiet. I think I'll have to turn the volume up of that. C&O 1309 looks like a pretty big engine. Oh, you know what? I have a picture of that, not of the steam locomotive, but I have a picture I took over here. Where is it? The picture must be. I don't have it on me at the moment, but I have a print photo of that station where that giant steam engine, that Burlington steam engine, was somewhere that I had printed out at Walmart. That's gonna bug me now. I don't know what the station name is. It was in Illinois or Iowa, though. It wasn't Ottawa, was it? No. I think in Ottawa they did have another engine like that though too in the yard, like rusting away. If somebody is watching and they wouldn't mind, could somebody Google for me? What was it? The Amtrak train station stops in Illinois. Because one of those train station stops in Illinois has that gigantic CB&Q engine, and it's bugging me so bad right now because I'm trying to remember what it was. It wasn't the Princeton stop. I might actually have to go downstairs and look through those photo prints that I got from that trip to see what engine that was, or what town that was that had the engine in it. Because that is driving me nuts right now. Do I have any other hobbies aside from model? I used to be like huge into Star Wars. I have a lot of Lego sets still, but I ran out of space for them, and honestly, I'm not really interested in it anymore. I ended up selling all my Lego Star Wars minifigures a couple months ago because they were just, well, for one, I needed money for trains, and trains are always above Lego. And two, there were just so many like Lego sets and figures that I'm like selling the Legos because I'd rather have room for trains than for Lego. And really, that's the only other hobby that I have. Galesburg. Thank you. It was Galesburg. What's the locomotive they have in Galesburg? I think it's like I want to say I remember it being like a Hudson 464 or 484 Northern. It was like a massive locomotive, though. 3006, is that the engine's number? Galesburg. I remember the name now. It was Galesburg. Thank you for reminding me. Who was it? Was that you, Chessie, that brought up Galesburg? Yes, thank you, Chessie. Thank you. What wheelbase is that engine? If you don't mind. Because I remember I have pictures of the engine too somewhere on my phone that I never got printed that I probably should, because like that engine, they have it like parked with like a bunch of like heavyweight steel like baggage cars and coaches next to it. That's the largest steam locomotive I've seen in person. I've never seen what was it? I've never seen, even though it's in my home state, I've never seen Pierre Marquette 1225. That is on my bucket list, though. But I waited too long, and I think that the Pierre Marquette trains are almost entirely sold out already for Steam Railroading Institute this year, which is a shame. That'd be a fun vlog to do if I could ever get there. And I intended to do a vlog while I was in Durango, but I ended up getting sick halfway through it from altitude sickness. And I was just like, I'm not going to record vlogs when I'm sick like that. I'm hoping to get back there soon, maybe later this year if I save money to get back up to Durango. And that was fun, though. 464, thank you. 464. I thought it was a Hudson. I just wasn't sure. Yeah, that was kind of awkward too. I did record some footage while I was in Durango. I uploaded a few shorts of the 482 running in Durango, but it was kind of odd. I don't really like. I know I was recording the train, but I didn't really feel comfortable with like all the people on the train being in the recording, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to record in public without issue, but I still think it just felt odd to me, even though I was recording the train. Like, secondarily, have all those people that were on the train in the recording too. Then again, I don't think that any of them had any issues. There's a lot of people waving off the train when I went by while I was recording it. Oh yeah, it would definitely be awkward trying to hold the phone while doing stuff at a train show too. What scale is this? This is HO scale. It's standard gauge, despite what the engines are all lettered as. It's it's standard gauge. These are just like I guess you could say fictionalized model standard gauge versions of actual narrow gauge locomotives. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I was trying to. I was kind of. It's weird to explain to a lot of people, especially people that aren't familiar with narrow gauge, the difference between scale and gauge. Because HON3 is still HO scale, 187th, and HON30 is as well. But the gauge is different. HO scale is like the wider option. It's like what most real life prototypes ran on. Narrow gauge has thinner track. So I've heard a lot of people mix up the terms gauge and scale a lot. You can have multiple different track gauges within HO scale, but you can't have it the other way around, if that makes sense. Exactly. You can't have an GP38 and HON3, but you can't have it in N scale running on the same track. Same thing applies to 8 or ON30 or any other narrow gauge thing. SN3, they have like narrow gauge for like every scale. They even have narrow gauge in N scale called NN3. I can't even imagine the nightmares of working on an engine that small or with track trying to re-rail stuff on engine or tracks that small. All right, it was nice seeing you, Christian. I hope you have a good evening. Yeah, NN3, you don't see much of it, but it certainly exists. Because I was looking up HO scale Durango and Silverton stuff, and I kept getting a lot of NN3 stuff that Micro Trains make. So I'm like, how do people even get that on the track? That's just like a nightmare. I could barely even get the N scale stuff on the track with my shaky hands. And like, I respect the people that do N scale, because you can fit a lot in that space. Like, it's a really good scale if you're really, really limited on space, but it's just too small for me personally. I think HO scale is the perfect scale for me in my current space that I have. O scale is just too big. ON30, even though it runs on HO track, is still too big because all the buildings and whatnot are all twice the size of HO. And then N scale is just too small to work on, too small of engines, too annoying of mechanisms to work on. I accidentally broke one of my N scale 10-wheelers working on it because it was so small. And when I broke that 10-wheeler, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this scale. It's too small, which is sad because Bachmann has that new 19th century one coming out. But I'm still not going to probably buy it because I don't have use for N scale. And I really want to focus everything in on HO now. I really wanted to get into G scale. I have a G scale 040. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. I have a little LGB N scale Porter over there without the saddle tank on it. It's a really cool engine, but I have nowhere to run it like at all, and I don't have I don't want to spend all the money to get into G scale and all the outdoor stuff because it will be a fortune. At one point, I really wanted to have a model in every single scale. Actually, I was thinking it would be cool if I could get the same model in every single scale. Like, I think the Usra 060 is available in every single scale. That would be really cool if I had one of each one and just lined them all up on the shelf. But that's too expensive because, I wouldn't run any of them except for the HO one. T-scale. Yeah, T-scale is, impossible. I've seen people with, hats. They fit layouts on their hats because it's so small. I think that was, at Amherst or something. Yeah, the re-railer ramps. I see DIY Digital Railroads uses that for his N-scale layout. Yeah, there's nothing inherently wrong with N-scale. I don't have any issues with it, in general. I just personally don't like it because I have a hard time working with those models. That's my thing with it. But other people can make it work. More power to them because you can fit twice as much stuff in N scale in the same space as you could with HO. So it's really good in that aspect. And they're actually making really good strides with upgrading the motors and the decoders and stuff in N scale too. You can fit better motors in the little N scale engines now. Example, the new Bachmann 460. That would have been impossible 30 years ago to have accurately depicted in N scale. Now they have small enough motors to be able to have the engine be actually engine driven, not tender drives. And the tiny little 19th century locomotive, which is just amazing. And I think, and then, you got the smaller decoder chips that are coming out, so you can put sound in a lot of these N-scale engines now, too. I think N-scale is going to be, it's already really close with being as popular as HO, but I think as time goes on, it's going to be, it'll be either as popular as or maybe even more popular than HO in the future, depending on how things go with the hobby. Yeah, I don't think there is a best scale because each scale is tailored. There's multiple scales and they're tailored to fit for different people. Some people like the large G scale stuff and have the space to run them outside or even on large indoor layouts. That's really cool. Those are easy to work on, and the large locomotives and trains like that are just sweet. But not everyone has space for them. So that's why other people go into smaller scales. People have, minimal space, so they go into like Z scale or N scale or whatnot. There really is a scale for everyone, sorry, and there's no right scale because every scale works for, different people that have different preferences and space allocations and whatnot. I just personally find HO is my preferable scale because it's just small enough to be able to fit quite a bit into the space I have, but not too small to where I have difficulty servicing them and kit bashing them, because it's kind of hard to kit bash N-scale engines too with how small those locomotives are. Should I do a rural short line or big main line? That depends on the engines you want to run. If you want to run big express passenger locomotives and long freight trains, I would recommend a larger railroad to accommodate those because you're going to need much bigger sweeping curves to handle passenger trains. Especially after like the 1940s, 30s, and 40s when they had those really long heavyweight coaches and those larger Hudsons and whatnot. But if you want to have smaller locomotives, like smaller diesels, they're like 4-axle diesels, or smaller steam engines, like smaller than like 2A2s, then I would definitely recommend a short line because you can get away with tighter curves on a short line and you can just run smaller engines easier. But if you want bigger locomotives, I would do a mainline railway. It really depends on what you want to run. Bigger locomotives need a mainline layout. Smaller need a smaller, can handle smaller layouts. G scale stands for garden scale. Yep, that's where those primarily originated from. People running them outdoors. That's what I think that's like the first scale was probably around G scale, like gauge 1 or something like that. I know O scale was a really early scale. I think G scale was also really popular in the early 1900s, in the early days of model railways. You'll derail my train. Yep. Yeah, those hat layouts were cool. Yeah, steam engines. You can find cheap steam locomotives on eBay. You just have to. If you want really cheap, how do I put this? If you don't need sound or you don't want sound, then you can get really, really cheap used steam engines on eBay. And if you're willing to learn about fixing them up and working on them, then you can get some really dirt cheap ones that are not in running condition, and then you can fix them up and get them running, and you won't have to spend much money on them. But unfortunately, if you want sound or even smoke, because some HO gauge engines have smoke, then you're going to have to fork over a lot of money because those are not cheap because of the electronics involved. And usually those engines have higher end details on them anyway, which drive up the price as well. S-scale is underrated. I don't see many people modeling it. I think the big three are N-scale, HO, and O-scale. Obviously not in that order. But S-scale gets forgotten a lot. There's a lot of cool American Flyer stuff out there that would be really cool to run. Unfortunately, I just don't have the space for it, but it would be cool. I've seen them come up in train shows a lot. Some really cool American Flyer layout setups. And I've also seen really prototypical S-gauge layouts too, so you can do both like toy-like and prototypical railroading in S-scale. I think I'm going to give 482 a break once it hits the station, because it's been running quite a while now. My biggest locomotive. Oh, what is it? The Erie Triplex? That'd be cool. I heard those were like a massive failure when those Erie Triplexes were made. I think those are what the ones that had the two drive wheel sets under the engine's boiler, and then they have like a third set of drivers that are like under the tender. That was a giant failure when that came out, but it is a really cool engine though. Despite it's got like a horrifying train wreck, honestly, but it's really cool to look at though. Those triplexes. A Hudson and a Decapod. I used to have a Decapod. Actually, I'm shocked it ran on the track. And I know for a fact the only reason it ran on the track was because it had blind drive wheels in the centers. But the Decapods are pretty cool, like Strasbourg 90. I have a double A Centipede, and I run a 24-inch radius. I'll have to look up that engine. I've never heard of that locomotive. But the larger radius engines, or the larger radius you have in general is probably better, so you can run bigger locomotives. Luckily, my interests are mostly small to medium steam, so 18-inch radius, even though it's still kind of extremely unrealistic, I can run, just about all the trains that I want on this scale. The only engines that kind of are pushing it that I currently own are Sierra 3 because it's an oversized model with a larger wheelbase than it really would have been. And the Mikado I was just running a second ago. But they both handle the curves just fine. The only problem spots on my layout are two of the switches because Bachmann switches are not the best out there. I don't know why, but YouTube never gives me points when I chat. I'm not sure why I'm not sure why you're having that issue. I know that they won't let you give hype points either to channels unless they're part of their whatever program where they pay you out. I actually, if I wanted to right now, I could be monetized and making money, but I'm just choosing not to because for one, I don't want to deal with the taxes. And two, I feel like if I were to monetize a channel like this, I'm going to start getting stressed out trying to like make the channel grow and start getting stressed out, and I'm just not into that. I just upload videos I like because I think they're fun, and I just like to do videos about my trains running around mostly and projects I'm working on. And I feel like I might end up getting stressed out if I try monetizing this channel, and that's outside of having to deal with quarterly taxes on top of it because I read into it. I still don't really understand the point of hype points. I've seen some videos where they have a ton of them, and I don't really know the point of it. I don't know if that boosts the video in the algorithm or something, but I don't really care to have them on my channel. So, yeah, that's the blind drivers are flangeless drive wheels, so they can go through tighter curves. They did that with a lot of locomotives with larger wheelbases. And actually, I just learned this the other day. Red Oak told me this. I never knew this. But the William Mason locomotive, that 440, that was built, 1856, the front drive wheel of that locomotive does not have a flange on it. It's a blind drive wheel on the front of that 440. And the front pilot truck doesn't move side to side. It's like fixed in one place and only swivels. So I guess that makes sense as to how the engine wouldn't derail with that front drive wheel being blind like that. But that's just a really weird choice on Mason Machine Works end to make their front drive wheel blind like that, and then to make it so the front pilot truck only swivels rather than being able to go left to right. Really, really weird design choice on their end. But that engine, it doesn't stop that engine from being a beautiful locomotive, though. Consolidation turned into a Mikado. I wonder how that would go. If a lot of the consolidations, like the entire one, like the. Let me show an example. Actually, let me show an example about that. I don't think you can really see it. Actually, you might be able to put another. It would be a lot of work. You might be able to put a little tiny wheel. It would be tiny though. I don't think it'd probably work out though to put a trailing truck and make an engine like this a Mikado. Just because of the way the and drivers are set up, I don't think that would really work, actually. Let me look at my Athearn 280. Yeah, you couldn't even do that on an Athearn 280 either because there wouldn't be enough space to turn it. You would have to like extend the frame and the cab and the boiler and everything to turn a 280 into a Mikado. At least looking at the two examples that I have on hand right now. That would be a lot of work to turn into a Mikado. That'd be cool if you could do that, though. Okay, Pennsylvania Railroad Centipede, the only 4884 diesel. That's a diesel? Wow. I'm going to have to Google that after the stream then. I didn't even know that they... I know that some diesels had like steam locomotive wheel arrangements, but I got to see that, though. My most realistic train... what is my most realistic train, actually? Actually, I think the most... I don't know. I'd say the most realistic, albeit not accurate, that I have currently is actually the one you're looking at right now, number 20. It's not entirely accurate at all, but it has the most realistic details on it. Like it has all the pipe work and everything. I think that is the most detailed one that I have. The Sierra 3 model is no, that's not realistic at all. That's oversized. Yeah, honestly, that might be the most realistic engine I have. Is that, and it's not even an actual like locomotive. Like it was based on an actual locomotive, but its current appearance is not an actual thing because this is based on narrow gauge and this is standard gauge. But that's the most detailed engine I think I got, besides the Bachmann 280. The Roundhouse Athearn 260s and 280s I have aren't really based on anything. They're just kind of generic, so they could repaint it to fit multiple engines. The Bachmann 440s are based on the Virginian Truckee ones, but they're not super detailed even at all, so they're not very realistic. The Elko 260 is okay. I think it's based on a Green Bay and Western prototype, but again, molded on details. It's not super realistic. The Rapido 44 tonner is pretty good. And that's really about it. Yeah, I'm not sure what the hype thing is. I'm assuming that probably boosts your video in the algorithm or something, but other than that, I'm not sure what else that would be for. Yeah, you would have to extend the cab out further back. You'd have to build onto the rear of the locomotive to be able to fit the rear trailing truck into a 280 to make it a Mikado. And I would imagine if you had to move the cab backwards, you would also have to lengthen the engine's boiler and back head as well to accommodate that. That would be a lot of work. It'd probably just be easier to just take a Mikado that you like and kit bash it into a appearance that you would like for that locomotive than trying to take a ready to run consolidation and turn it into that. I can't think of any other examples. I can't actually think of any examples that would easily work to turn into a Mikado like that. That's a 280. So I was looking at the Broadway Limited Shay. Yeah, the Broadway Limited Shay. I was looking into that. And the engine looks nice. There's nothing wrong with it physically. But the sound, I personally find the sound just be horrible. It has like a really repetitive, like machine gun sounding chuff rate on it, which is pretty much par for the course for Paragon. I'm going to probably hold out for the Bachmann 3 truck. And those are 4 trucks too, which is just a really way too big of an engine for this layout. Even the 3 truck shays that Bachmann has are kind of pushing it for this layout, but I'll probably end up buying the Pickering one whenever that comes out. So that'll be another $600 getting nuked out of my wallet when that happens. Yeah, the camera's having issues tonight focusing. It's really bad. It's really bad tonight. Yeah, 3D printing is definitely helpful for oh, no, it's nice seeing you there. Who is that? Alicia? It's nice seeing you in the stream. Yeah, kit bashing is going to be a lot easier with 3D printing. I think that's going to be the future of the hobby, honestly. I mean, we'll still have obviously all the models being produced by the big manufacturers, but for custom locomotives, it will be much easier for scratch building and customizing locomotives with 3D printing. Like significantly easier than it was before because you would have like steam engines, for example, those take a lot of work that's totally scratch built. Like the boilers, like you have to get all the I'm not going to go into it, but it's a lot of work. And 3D printing is going to cut down on a sizable amount of the work needed to scratch build or kit bash custom locomotives in the future. And I really look forward to that. I was even seeing how in the future you might be able to 3D print and paint the model in one go. They're developing technology for that. And that will be like a game changer in this hobby. If you could like 3D print and paint the model at the same time to look like the prototype you're working on, that would be amazing. And I really look forward to seeing how that develops. Yeah, I'm sure turning down the sound would probably help with that situation. However, um, as is, I'm not a big fan of Broadway sounds. I think they should just go the route of using a third party decoder manufacturer like other engine uh, producers do. You know, like Loc Sound, however you pronounce it, Wow Sound by TCS, and Tsunami Soundtracks too. Those are all three really good viable options that I can name off the top of my head that Broadway Limited could change over to. And I really think they should, but it seems like they're being really stubborn in that aspect and not wanting to do that for whatever reason. And they want to just use their own in house decoder. Fine, whatever. But I'm really glad now that they're selling this stealth DCC ready models though, so you can put in your own decoder now. Because I heard it was kind of a pain on some of those models to remove their Paragon decoders to put in your own, and that's going to be a really nice thing to be able to buy more of their models in the future that are just DCC ready stealth models to put in whatever decoder you want. That way you're not stuck with the, I call it parajunk personally, kind of a bit harsh, but I do not like their sounds. They are just subpar to me, and they sound, the sounds in a lot of those engines are similar to sounds that were in decoders like 20 years ago, which are very outdated. I think they very much need to get with the times and put in new decoders in their models. Hello there, Northwestern Puff. Oh, and good to see you back, Red Oak. Yeah, I had to take a break from running trains. I was running 482 for quite a bit. I think we're going to get number 20 here running in a second. Move the camera. Then we'll get 473 going again. We're going to move the camera. This. This is the consist we're going to be picking up, I think. We're going to uncouple 482. I can't uncouple the car. This coupler is so annoying on this engine. I gotta change it out after the stream. There we go. I'm just gonna leave the car off. Oh well. All right, here we go. I'm going to mute the mic for 1 second. All right, I am back. I had to get something to drink because I am dying of thirst. Ah. All right, where were we? We're moving 482 off the main line. Did I miss any chat? Yeah, is the Bachmann-Shea more money than the Broadway Limited? I know it's going to be like $600 when they release that thing. Just kind of absolutely insane for an HO scale locomotive. I thought I saw their Shea was around the same price though. It was like $5.99 or $6.99. It certainly wasn't cheap. All right, we got to get number 20 down here. What DCC chip do you have that does one? I think just about every single sound decoder has the grade crossing sound on it. It's a sound function. You don't need a specific chip for that. There's entire videos that explain how DCC works and how the decoders and everything work. You just need the chip in the locomotive and a DCC system. You can run multiple locomotives and function multiple different sounds on that system. I personally use Bachmann Dynamis out there, but there's a better option called NCE Power Cab I would recommend. I'm only using Dynamis because I bought it like 10 years ago and it still hasn't given me any issues. I plan to get an NCE at some point, but for now this one works. And sorry for the silence here for a second. I'm doing a bit of switching right now because I got 3 engines on the track, and I gotta like literally plan every single movement that I'm making with these engines. Can't remember which one I had to move. 482. Yeah, it was. That's what it was. All right, Chessie. God, $7.99? Good Lord. I can't believe, I mean, I'm assuming Train World will probably give some sort of like discount like they usually do. But $7.99 MSRP is insane. Even if it is a Shea, that is just nuts. Right. Yay, 482 is on the siding now. Now we can actually run number 20. Okay, now I just gotta... There we go. All right, I gotta catch up chat real quick. Yeah, that's what I figured with their MSRPs. Still, they, like, even if they're like playing with their retail prices, that is still like absurd just to look at, even though you know it's going to be discounted by other hobby stores and outlet stores. I forgot to turn off 482's bell. I'm always scrolling past it on the menu. Where'd it go? There we go. I have too many engines on this thing because if you look, if I can get it in view, barely can get it in view. But you have to like go through and like manually select the engine that way. And it just takes forever to scroll through like 20 engines. What is the engine in front of me? 20? Okay. God, those brass hybrids are nuts too. Those Broadway limited ones. Oh my god. The entire hobby is going up in price significantly, and those tariffs are like making it worse. Like I know there's probably more other factors than just the tariffs, but there's just like the hobby's been skyrocketing lately. The used market's been getting a lot more popular. It's probably more popular than it ever has been actually because of all the economic stuff going on right now, impacting the cost of model trains. I've never used Digitrax. The only Digitrax, God, my brain is fried again. The only Digitrax product I've ever used was a decoder that was already installed in one of my locomotives. Which, funny enough, it was in my old Shay, and it was a non-sound one, and that one was like buggy. It gave me issues with other engines. I don't know why, but when it didn't have those issues, it ran just fine. It was like a DCC silent decoder. Is Red Oak, was the Digitrax controller you using, was that the one that was giving you issues initially with that janky old DCC decoder that was in the B&O mogul I sent you? Because I remember like yours, like one of your controllers was like the engine was going haywire and like a certain sound wasn't shutting off on it or something, and you had to like change it over to the power cab to get it to stop making that god awful noise. Oh, I mean the 1, 2, and 3, 2 for stop. Oh no, I think most decoders. I don't know about TCS running on DC, but I know for Soundtrack Tsunami 2, if you run an engine on DC, it'll do the automatic whistle blast for forward reverse. And I think if you spike, I seem to remember if you spike the speed quickly and turn it back down on a DC controller with a DCC engine, it'll start ringing the bell and doing the grade crossing sequence automatically as well. Or at least I know it did on the old Sound Value. I don't know if Economy does that though. Yeah, most engines like that are ready to go that have DCC sound now are around $300, $400. And that's after discounts. I saw the Blue Goose. That was an interesting one. I can't believe that was like almost $1,000 that for that thing though. Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew the old soundtracks did it because I remember my old Sound Value 260 would do that on DC. But I wouldn't think that TCS would do that though. And I don't know anything much about lock sound because I only have one engine with that installed. Make sure all my points are switched so I don't have a horrifying accident. I'm going to run number 20 for a bit and then put, what was it, number 473 back on the main line. I haven't ran 473 much tonight. Yeah, Red Oak and I were talking about that the other day, about how you have to have the lock sound decoder, like the programming thing, to program it. I mean, you can change like certain CV variables, sorry, on the base decoders on like the, what did I buy, the 33 tonner I have. You can change the horn and bell and everything on that, like any other DCC one. But for like custom sounds, you have to have that thing to program on with. I had a Heisler from Riverossi, or it was Hornby, but they sold it with the Riverossi name. They put lock sound on that one too. And it was pretty much the same thing. It has a lot of the same default sounds and like a few extra sounds for each function. But if you really want to customize it, you kind of do have to buy that thing. But then again, though, if you have that, you can really fine-tune and customize all of your engines way better than you ever could with, say, Wow Sound or Tsunami 2, because they have, well, both of them have really good whistle and bell selections. If you need a really specific whistle that neither of those two have, then Lock Sound, you can customize the sounds with on that, which is kind of a really cool thing. Because we were thinking about if it's possible using that for my Red Dead locomotives, because actually, there is a whistle that's really close to the Red Dead one on Tsunami 2. But it would be really cool to have the exact bell and whistle on the model, though. And the only way to really do that would probably be with the Lock Sound programmer thing, the custom sound decoder installed in the locomotive. Oh, I didn't even realize I had a bunch of new chat messages. Oops, sorry about that. It didn't update me. Main changes I've done to the Mantua HO 460. I didn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed like 5 messages. I didn't even. The phone didn't even tell me I had new chat messages. It's cool that you're modifying a Mantua 460. Sorry, the camera keeps moving on me. Yeah, you can do a lot of customizing with those Mantua 460s. You could really heavily modify those. You could either backdate it and it would look just fine as like a backdated 1890s locomotive, or you can do a lot of modern detail component. My brain is just broken right now. What was I saying? Oh, you could put a lot of like new modern like fitted parts on it, like the dynamo. You could put like an air rung bell on there. You could do a whole new pilot. You could do like anything. They have brass parts for like a lot of stuff like that. And you could really, it doesn't really take a lot to totally change the look of how a locomotive looks with just a few detailed parts. Like just by changing the headlight out and the stack and the domes, it would make it a whole new engine. It really does. And if you want to go even further, you could like remove the old steam and sand dome mounts on the locomotives like that, and then you can put whole new domes on there. So you're not just stuck with the rounded ones that they typically come with. You can do a lot of really cool kit bashing work with those old Tyco models. I've never really tried I don't really know the limitations of programming on Broadway Limited's decoders. Like I said, I had the one HO scale one, it burned its decoder out immediately. And I never have and never will buy another HO scale Broadway Limited product because of that. And then I had an N scale Light Pacific for a while. And it was okay for N scale. The sounds were forgivable because it was N scale, but it didn't seem like BLI for N scale had a lot of like customizable sound effects. I only heard like 2 bells, like 3 whistles. It's not a lot. Even Economy gives you like 5 different bell types and like 15 different whistles, and that's like the low end of decoders from soundtracks. It's kind of like it's almost like a sampling of their Tsunami 2. It's just like a cheaper version of it. And then obviously, Wow Sound has a pretty good selection. Tsunami 2, if you buy the full Tsunami 2, has like 90 different whistles and like 40 different bells or something like that. Broadway Limited just doesn't seem to have enough customizable aspects to it to ever want to have Paragon in engine, really. Not to mention a lot of the audio quality on some of those locomotives are not very good, just to put it nicely. But that's my opinion, though. If you like, it's just, if you like Broadway Limited sounds, then, more power to you. I just personally don't like them. I've had issues with it. I'm not a fan of the sound quality. Lock Sound, Tsunami, and soundtracks. Yeah, not soundtracks. My brain is shot tonight. Again, holy smokes. Soundtracks, Wow Sound, and Lock Sound are my 3 preferences at this point with sound. How long have I been streaming? Okay, 3 hours. That's why my brain is shot now. I've been streaming for 3 hours now. Ugh. I might end the stream in like 20 minutes or so because I'm starting to get hungry now as well. That's probably why my brain is like melting in the middle of talking tonight now. I haven't eaten like all day. Wow, that's quite a collection you have from Broadway. Their engines look gorgeous. I won't say anything bad about how they physically look. They are beautiful models for the most part. It's just the decoders and to a lesser extent the smoke units I have an issue with. If they did more DCC ready releases and just omitted the smoke units, I would probably be more than happy to buy more of their products. If they made more small steam though, that's kind of the caveat. Most of the engines they do are large steam locomotives, which I have like no use for. The only engine of theirs I would want would be their E6 Atlantic. You already know that story because I've cried about it like 40 times before on my channel. But they just left a really sour taste in my mouth after that incident. Paragon, it was Paragon 3, I think. I think that had Paragon 3 in it. And then the E6 Atlantic had Paragon 4 because it was a newer release of theirs. Alright, Chessie, it was nice seeing you. I'm probably going to end the stream soon as well because I'm starving now and my brain's like malfunctioning really bad. I'm like having a difficult time trying to piece basic sentences together because I've been streaming for too long now. "12-hour streams? Wow. I don't even want to know how bad I would do on a 12-hour stream. I'd be like probably incoherently babbling because... Ooh, what's it doing? Oh. I don't know what that sound was, but it solved itself. Anyway, Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing a 12-hour stream. My brain would be like a pile of mush by then. I think like an hour and a half is probably the most I realistically can do before my brain starts short circuiting. They have, yeah, I was going to mention the Pennsylvania 060. That looks like a nice locomotive, but it's very expensive for a small engine. And honestly, I don't see myself running it. I'm not a big fan of the 060 steam switchers, really. Nice engine, though. What are those called? Like a B6 or something? Is that the class? I think they're like a B6 or something. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, though, please. I'm pretty sure that those 060s are like classified as the B6. I'm not really super into Pensy steam, though, so I'm not certain. Yeah, Red Oak will do a good job on those models. He's done 3 fantastic upgrades for me so far. And I'm sure he'll do a really good job putting a Vanderbilt tender on a 10-wheeler like that, which will actually be really unique. It'll probably come out looking. I think Union Pacific had 460s. It was either Union Pacific or Southern Pacific. One of the two had 460s and they had Vanderbilt tenders on them. They were pretty cool looking. Yeah, Paragon. Bleh, oh my god. Paragon 3 has a lot of issues I've heard. Like they will like have like short circuits and fry themselves, and yeah, I don't want anything to do with Paragon on this layout after the one like fried its own decoder the second after I put power on it. A 72-hour stream? Were you active for the? You couldn't have been active for a 72-hour stream the whole time. Was it like just trains running? Oh my god, I couldn't imagine doing a 72-hour stream. I would be dead by the end of that. Okay, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that has my brain melting on really long streams there, Red Oak, because mine is not doing so good after like about. I think like the 2-hour mark is when I started having my brain stop functioning properly, and I started sounding like ugh. I can't even finish the sentence. It's so bad right now. Oh, I didn't do the whistle signal. There we go. Yeah, after like the 2-hour mark of this stream, I immediately noticed that my brain power was like going out the window. Like I was, it's bad. I probably should limit myself to like hour and a half long streams so I can remain completely coherent through the entire thing. So, yeah, I thought it was a B6. What did you say about the Proto? So I like the Proto 080s, those Proto 2000 ones. I have no problem with them. I'm just not a big fan of the steam switchers, really. I just don't have much use for them. I prefer like 10 wheelers, Americans, moguls, consolidations. Not a big steam switcher fan. They are really nice looking engines, though. I heard they run like a Swiss watch as well. Shame they don't produce them anymore. Yeah, Paragon 3 is horrible. I've had so many people complaining about those things to me, and I've seen many people on YouTube complaining about them on videos too. They really just need to just straight up outsource the decoder part of their models now to a more reputable uh, computer. Oh my god, my brain broke one. Decoder to another decoder manufacturer, because like I've already done a whole song and dance about it on this stream and other ones. They're just not good. They're not good at all. When you have like 3 competitors, they could just they need to just stop. They need to do more DC silent and models, and they just need to seriously consider outsourcing at this point. Tsunami or Sound or Wow Sound or whatever at this point, because their sounds are like 20 years out of date. There's like QSI sounds that sound almost the same as some of the new Paragon 4 decoders sounding. And that's from like what, the late 90s and the early 2000s. I'm pretty sure my Wanderer 440 has the QSI decoder thing in it. And some of the new Paragon 4 engines have very similar sounds to something that came out in the 90s. And that's really not good. That's really not a good look for an engine manufacturer that charges what, like upwards of $500 to $600 on their models now. It's just not good. They really, really need to get with the times with those decoders. Model Railroader HQ. I'll look up that up later. I'll look into that later after the stream, which is probably going to be ending shortly because I am now failing to coherently put sentences together now because I've been doing this for too long. Did they fix it for Paragon 4? They must have just sent me a really faulty locomotive then, because the Paragon 4 I had like shorted out immediately and killed the engine. I just sent it back and got my money back. They do DCC ready for everything? Yeah, they need to. I hope they keep up with doing DCC ready then, because their decoders, just not a big fan of them. A lot of people aren't a big fan of them. I've seen more negative things about those decoders than positive on YouTube, which is a shame. I use a mix. I have three. I have models that have Wow Sound, Tsunami, and Lock Sound on all of them. Right now, I have mostly Tsunami decoders. However, I've been all my newest, latest engines that I send to Red Oak to work on. I've been mostly having him put Wow Sound in because I just kind of prefer that for the sound, the way they sound. I kind of prefer them a bit. But I am sending him two 440s I think are both going to end up getting Tsunami. One, because it's easier to fit Tsunami into the tenders of the 440s. And two, the rest of my 440s already have Tsunami Economy installed in all of them. So I might as well just have Tsunami 2 in the other 440s as well. So they're all uniform in that way. Anyway, so I think I'll get 473 out and run that for a few minutes, and I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to probably go and eat dinner after this, so my brain doesn't stop deteriorating from not eating, I guess. What was I doing? Moving number 20. I use the DCC system is Easy Command Dynamis by Bachmann. It's not really a big controller system here in the States. I think this is more used overseas in the out in the UK and by Europeans, but it works pretty good. Like I mentioned before, though, I likely will eventually be replacing this with a power cab. I do a stream. I probably will be doing a stream tomorrow. I definitely will be capping it at like an hour and a half, though, because I think any longer than an hour and a half, my brain turns into straight up mush. So. We gotta get number 20 on a siding there. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna. No, the headlight is there. I'm definitely gonna do another stream tomorrow. It's just not gonna be nearly as long as this. The last time I did a stream that was only an hour long, I wasn't really having any issues. It just seems like my brain is just gone by the time I hit the 2 hour mark. Yeah, the engine has the headlight. It's just not in. It's not in frame. Yeah, let me move the camera now. I got number 20 back in its siding. The headlight's right there. Red Oak. I had him move the headlight up to be more accurate to 473's headlight arrangement. So that's why it's up there and not down there. It is missing its number plate, though, because I have yet to order another number plate to install on that engine. But I think once that number plate gets put right there, the engine will look a lot more complete. Yeah, this is Bachman. I've never operated a layout like that before. I didn't know that you could virtually operate train layouts. Whoops, I got the wrong engine selected. I'll have to look into that Cardinal River Model Company. I don't know if that was you mentioning them earlier, but I'm aware that they're a brand new company that is producing some pretty interesting locomotives. I'll have to look into them after the stream. So, Michael, if you're in the stream, I have a question for you. I've noticed this with all of my WoW sound decoders. Does the engine like not really produce chuffing sounds unless it's got like a heavier load behind it? Because I noticed the chuffing doesn't really kick in on these locomotives unless I either give them a heavier load or if they're going up this slight grade that approaches the station here, like you can hear now. Because it kind of sounds like it drifts unless it's got a heavier load. And I've noticed that with most... Actually, no. What other engines do that? 473 does it. 42 does it. 20 does it to a lesser extent. And then number 3 does it too. Which is kind of cool if they just have the engine drifting until it has more of a load behind it to warrant the chuffing. But I'm just not sure how that works. That's what I was thinking. Because I noticed once I put heavier loads on these engines, they would have the more chuffing sounds to them. That's a pretty cool thing for them to do. Because I think actually doesn't, to a sort of lesser extent, I think you have to toggle the drifting sounds on the tsunamis, but I think the tsunamis will have heavier, barkier chuffs if you put them on heavier loads on those too. Because my the Jupiter that I sent that decoder to you from that Jupiter, when I was running that one, I noticed once it had heavier loads on it, the chuffing would get more intense on it as well. And I think Lock Sound has something like that as well. I'm not sure how they implemented it, but it's something like that, though. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I definitely thought I remembered the Jupiter when I had the Tsunami 2 in it was having the had barkier chuffs to it when it was working harder. I like how they have the wheel slip on that too. That's an interesting way of how they have that working. The thing I really like about Tsunami 2 that they do not have on WoW Sound is the wheel slip sound. I wish they had that implemented in some way on the WoW Sound. I don't know who thought of that as a function to implement it on the Tsunami 2, but I hope they got a raise after that because that was a really cool function to have. And I think they were talking about trying to make it so the wheels actually slipped, but then they realized a lot of engines have traction tires, so that probably wouldn't work. And also, that'd probably screw up the motor and the gearing a bit if they said the wheels slipping really bad like that too. So they scrapped the physical slipping, but the sound of it's really cool though. Yeah, you were mentioning that there's a lot more customizable features with the Tsunami than WoW Sound. Like a lot more. And then they also don't have it's not super horrible to me, but the audio assist thing is kind of weird. I'd rather just input all the CV variables into the Locomotive to reprogram them than filter through all the sound options on audio assist. Because it can kind of take way longer than it really has any right being to just reprogram basic sounds on this thing unless you use function 9. Yeah, it is. And that's sweet that they have a triplex that can wheel slip like that. We were just talking about the triplex when you were gone earlier. That was just such a weird design choice of theirs. And we were also talking about, I don't know if you recognize what I'm going to be mentioning, Michael, but the Russians had this really weird, like, 4.14.0 or 4.14.4 or some crazy 4.10.0 or something. It was like a really, really weird wheelbase. That was like the longest Locomotive wheelbase I've ever seen, with the exception of like the Central Pacific L Governator. And I don't even know how they even got that thing to work. Like you would have to have like the most insane curve radiuses to be able to handle a locomotive like that without it derailing, unless like all the wheels were blind except for the first set and the last set. They had some really weird Soviet engines that they were running at that time. It would have been better if they just broke the frame in half and had that being articulated rather than having so many drive wheels on one rigid wheelbase. That would be like impossible to turn. Yeah, I would imagine it was a huge failure. I couldn't imagine that thing taking curbs or switches. I think I saw something about it on YouTube actually. It might have been Train of Thought or someone talking about it. And it would like derail on switches constantly. Like it did not handle curves at all because of that wheelbase. Yeah, I would imagine that would tear up the tracks that it was running on. That was a horrible design choice if whoever came up with that design. Ooh, a T1 with wheel slip on it. That's cool. As long as, like, the wheel slip would be really cool to have on models, but my main concern with that would be if like, the sudden jerking of the wheels like that might mess up the drivetrain or something. That's the only thing I would be concerned about, because I remember one of my old 440s, I used to, like, I would overload it with too many cars just so I could watch it wheel slip, and I ended up wrecking the gearing on it. It was like one of my old sound value 440s, and it never ran right again after I did it for like a third time. It like messed the gearing up somehow, and I ended up trading that locomotive as a parts project to somebody else who sent me another parts project in return. Yeah, that's weird, but I could see why they'd use that for publicity. But that is just one horrible, like that. There's no practicality to an engine like that at all. Like no way that would ever properly run. There's some really other weird steam engines. Train of Thought was talking about what was it? There's like a 440 that some company took, and it was like a massive scam. And they like took this 440 and then put it on like a bunch of little wheels underneath the driving wheels, and then they like claimed that that would make the train go like significantly faster than on the basic four drive wheels. That was a really fun one to watch. And then they just like scammed a crap ton of people with that because they were like putting out all these like literature talking about it or something. It was all fake. And then they had like another like scam locomotive like that too. That had like weird like a bunch of weird wheels all over it. I don't even know how to describe the other one. It was just weird. There was a lot of scam manufacturers back then. The Holman horror. Yeah. I can't believe people fell for that. I wonder what railroads were the ones that fell for that scam. There's a lot of weird engines out there. What else was there? There's the El Gobernator, which was just a failure because they were trying to maximize the 480. They tried to take like the 480 Mastodon and make it bigger, and it just didn't work. I don't know what happened. I think that El Gobernator got scrapped like right after. It was like 1900 at the turn of the century. It was scrapped because I think they parted it out or rebuilt it into another engine. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I read it. They like rebuilt it into something else and then scrapped it. Then they had like these. Where are the other engines I was thinking of? There's another really weird engine I saw a video on the other day too. I can't think of it now. I lost it, but yeah, a lot of weird engines out there. Oh, it was a stationary boiler. Did they reuse the wheelbase for anything else? Because I thought they reused the wheelbase and they like turned it into like two engines from the one wheelbase or something. Unless I'm thinking of another engine. I was watching something the other day that had a steam engine on it, and they like put a propeller on the front of it, and it was like incredibly cursed. I can't remember what that was. Oh, that's gonna bug me now. I can't remember what it was. But I remember they did have the weird propeller trains, like that was like UK or Germany was like had a monorail that they were testing that had propellers on it, like aero trains or something. Those ones were pretty odd too. Oh, did they do that with those Santa Fe Locos? Did they consider the big boy to be a failure? I didn't know that. I know that those engines haul a lot of tonnage, though. I wonder why they consider them failures. Did the Challengers outperform them or something? Let me look. I have a train book right here. I was looking through it the other day. There's some weird stuff in there, too. Oh, where did you go? Right here. There's a lot of weird stuff in this book that I was looking through. A lot of weird-looking German engines that they ran back in the day. The Germans had some really weird stuff going on with their engines that made Heist like physically cringe looking at them. These are all diesels. They had a lot of weird electric engines back then. They have a B&O center cab electric engine. That's pretty neat. Bicentennial stuff. Hey, there's a T1. 484. Royal Hudson. A4 class. Hiawatha. Yeah, these are all kind of... Oh, Fairleys. Those double Fairleys were weird. I wonder if anybody manufactured... Does anybody know if anybody manufactured those double Fairleys at all in HO scale? That would be an interesting model to have to run. Those engines that have like the two boilers on both ends and the cab down the center. If nobody knows what those are pretty interesting. I think they use those a lot, like in Mexico, because I saw a lot of pictures of them in Mexico. UP had a Shea. Oh, that wouldn't really shock me. I think Pennsylvania, this isn't really relevant, but Pennsylvania had a narrow gauge division. I think they have one narrow gauge locomotive left in existence. It's like a 260, 280, 260. A lot of those, I was just watching the other night something about that. A lot of these standard gauge railroads had narrow gauge divisions to them. Pure Marquette had some narrow gauge divisions. Southern Railway had narrow gauge divisions. There's a ton of them. And they usually ended up turning them into standard gauge, though, within a couple of years. Those were usually used for like logging or whatnot, though. I think Central Pacific had like a narrow gauge division, too. I think they interchanged with the Lake Tahoe Railway, which is where the Eureka and the Glenbrook, I think, originated. One of the two originated from the Lake Tahoe Railway. Lake Tahoe logging or something. It took them up to like, what was it, like Palisade, I think? Or Eureka was one of the two. I think that was the Glenbrook, now that I think about that as well. Alright, I think we're going to do one more train run by, and then I'm going to end the stream because my brain's like falling out of my ears now, so... Yeah, Eureka and Palisade. I don't know why I forgot about Eureka and Palisade. My brain, like you've probably literally seen it for like the past 45 minutes. My brain has just like plummeted off of a cliff. at this point because I've been streaming for too long. Eureka and Palisade, yeah. That had to have been the Glenbrook then that I'm thinking of that ran on that division for the Central Pacific. All right. Yeah, you know what? One more run by ain't gonna hurt. T1, I think I saw that the T1 project has advanced quite a bit. I think they have the boiler, don't they? They have the tender, the boiler, and the drive wheels. I think they have to fabricate the frame now that I'm aware of. And I think they have like 3 out of 4 drive wheel sets. I think they actually had some of those done up at Strasbourg. Well, the grade crossing is going to go a bit longer than I anticipated it to. It's a really long grade crossing. Oh, they have the frame for the T1? That's cool. I wonder when they're going to have that finished. I assume probably early mid 2030s. So probably like another half a decade or so to finish that. They're going right along with that T1 truss though, which is a good thing. Anyways, though, I think that's going to be the end of my stream tonight because my brain is now deteriorated to a critical point now. So I'll do another one tomorrow. It's going to be much, much shorter than the one I just did tonight because what am I at? 3.5 hours? Yeah, that's about as much as I can do for one stream. 2029, 2030. Yeah. Wow, that's actually quicker than I thought they would be done. I would have thought it would have been mid 30s if they would have had the T1 done. Well, anyways, though, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you all had a good time watching the trains run. I'll do one tomorrow, like 6 o'clock around there. So, again, not going to be nearly as long as the stream tonight, though. And then it's probably going to be like the last stream for quite a while that I'm going to do for the foreseeable future because I have to go back to work full time next week. So, there won't be much time for streams after that. Anyways, so thanks for watching. I hope you all have a good night.